Hey guys, welcome. Miracles, Magic, and Coffee with Ralph Havens and Jen Havens, my wife, who's actually downstairs. She always does what we call holding space. And she's one of my secret weapons, if you want to call her a weapon. And then Tom Giamateo, one of my really good friends for many years, since February of 2000, when I first met Dr. Tom Giamateo. He started off as a physical therapist, then a chiropractor, then a naturopath and an acupuncturist. And he's the co-developer of a method of treatment, of healing that I use, medical intuitive healing, where you can heal things. Things can, people, God heals, but you can help people with their healing from a distance and also in person and hands-on. And he's in West Hartford, Connecticut, and I'm on the other side of the country, Bellingham, Washington. And we're going to talk today. I'm going to see what he wants to talk about. It's always what Tom wants to talk about because I value his opinion so much, and he can read what's going on a global level, a cosmic level, and on a personal level. And what I'm thinking today is about anxiety. And so while we wait for Tom to log on, I want to tell you a little bit about where I came from, because I used to be told by my medical doctor that, yeah, I had anxiety, but I'm just high strung and it's just my personality. And using the integrative manual therapy approach, I actually healed. I could say the word healed from anxiety. And so, and Tom was a big part of that. And the whole method was a big part of it. And it started off with me not being able to run. And then I got some treatment and was able to run again. And what they worked on was my heart. And over the years, the months, and then the years of getting integrative manual therapy done to me and with me and during classes, I not only got rid of the problem that was affecting my running, but my teeth no longer had cavities, and I no longer had anxiety, and I no longer had a sweaty hand problem. So I thought today would be a good day to talk about. Hey, Tom. I think he's still loading up with his audio.
Hi, Ralph.
Hey, Tom. So I'm open to always talk about whatever you feel is in the cosmos and in the ethers, what's going on. But I was just talking to one of our healers in our group, Katie Kavanaugh. She actually lives in your town, West Hartford, Connecticut. You guys got to meet. And
Okay.
Amazing energy person. I'll make sure she gets that connection again. I've told her about you. But I heard what's going on in Connecticut, and things are starting to happen again, and we don't want to get ourselves censored, but we do want to give people some hope and help. And I was talking before we got on with everybody here that I used to have severe anxiety. I mean, it was so bad that I remember being on vacation in Vancouver, Canada, back in the early days when I was first starting to get to know you, and I was in a cafe on my vacation, and I was by myself because my friend Greg was at work, and I was so nervous and anxious. I literally felt like people were watching me. It was the weirdest thing. And it's like, well, they don't care if I'm sitting there by myself reading a book, but because I wasn't with somebody having something to do, I felt nervous. And it took me about 3 days of a vacation to finally calm down and be okay with cruising around my favorite big city. And so I came from a strange place and had sweaty hands and all sorts of stuff. And I was saying how I literally was healed of that. Like, I'm cured of that. I don't have that. And I used to limit how much coffee I drank. Now I don't have to do that. It's like,
Yeah.
and these days, so many people have a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of concern. I've seen people blowing up lately and getting in big fights about some of the issues of our day right now with what's going on, the things that get you censored if you even talk about them. And so, IMT has an approach that helped me heal from anxiety, and I continue to do deep work to get farther down the road to heal on all sorts of levels. And while I saw some people really blowing up about some of these issues right now, it was interesting how I felt at peace. I'm not happy about the way things are going, but there's a sense of peace. And so I just wanted to open it up to you, I think the world needs some help. They're talking about it in the Olympics. Anxiety is at an all-time high, and people are dropping out of their events because of anxiety. And we need connection.
Yes.
A lot of the athletes didn't have their family and friends and support crew there because they couldn't go because Tokyo was all locked down. When it seems like people are being pushed into this thing where it's all coming to a head, and all those deep fears and anxieties, they're no longer just sitting there under the surface. So just your thoughts on that would be super cool.
Okay, so I think anxiety has been perpetually getting worse and worse. And we talked about a factor last week is that one, it has to do with the air quality since all the forest fires on the West Coast is been manifesting. And we talked about how during the wildfires, there's hyper vaporization of poison ivy and poison oak, which when you breathe it in gives you this survival. I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here, because we're itchy from the inside out sometimes.
Yeah, we literally had a client in our group session, our Atomic Success session, who's in in Grass Valley area, Nevada City area of California. And she said it's really getting to her on a deep level. She's in someone else's home because her home is under threat, and it's like it's real survival stuff.
Right. So the homeopathic roost tox is useful for that as an herb that you can find on the internet or at a health food store. And people are breaking out with rashes during that part. As a celestial being, the astrology is saying that we're transforming our core energies. So what I found this week, I'm going to say it in IMT terms first, is that when the limbic system is expanding, we're finding like bone bruises in the limbic system. So as people are getting more aware of things, they're feeling anxious because there's a part of the brain called the limbic system, which is the primitive brain. And we're finding tears and cracks in that. And people are very antsy and very hyper reflective on things. You know, anything can set them off. You don't know what words they are sometimes, and that could be a panic attack. So just by one homework that everybody can do is placing one hand on the top of the head and the other hand on the heart, and just holding that should help with some anxiety for opponents. Doing that for 15 to 20 minutes, and then taking the hand to the heart and the other hand on the bridge of the nose are two of the things that, you know, we give people for when they can't sleep at night, type of thing.
Yeah, I did some, even though I wasn't feeling it, but there was some, I was witnessing a kind of a blowout thing among some people, and I felt at peace while I was kind of noticing it. But at night, I did feel myself called to do. I used that that technique that you showed us in that one class where you're getting in behind the nose and kind of going in and down. And then the other hand I put on top of my head for some reason, mostly because I was laying down and it was easier to touch. But yeah, those are really, really, really powerful. You know, after all these years since February 2000 of first knowing you, that simple one hand here, one hand there homework, and there's multiple ones in the Body Wisdom book, I still use them every week. Sometimes, I mean, a lot of times every night. It's real, very, very powerful. It doesn't, worth a try, like worth a try for people that are kind of like, what? You know, putting one hand on your heart, on the top of your head. It might seem like it's not much, but it's really powerful.
Yeah. So, and then the news is everybody's going back to school, and I have teachers that are clients, and they're also having some issues of, you know, what do we do today? And I think it's the media is just driving everybody crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if for some reason I had a gift given to me back when we were first moving up here, and I was we moved into a 1 month rental back in 2013, and Jen and I started fighting it, and it was like, what are we all upset about? And we were waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and our tummies hurt, and we're like, what's going on? Luckily, I went to a hairdresser who knows stuff, and she looked in my eyes and said, man, you have to get off of Wi-Fi. And I'm like, what? And so I went back and looked underneath the bed of the rental, and there was a Wi-Fi emitting device. And so we started looking into it a little bit more, and we realized that a lot of Ben's, what looked like behavioral problems, And then me and Jen, our new stuff was related to the iPhone. We had it on, it was new to us, and we were using it all the time. And but hair was falling out of my head in the shower, and my stomach hurt, and I would wake up at 3 o'clock really angry. And so I decided to just quit using phones. And I might be the only person, I know the only person I know anyway, that doesn't, I have a flip phone that I haven't used in probably 6 months. I don't use the phone. So, and I think it's pretty darn good, because it's like, in some ways it's a blessing. I don't have a freaking iPhone bolted onto my brain telling me what to think. So many people, they're just like, they look at that and they read headlines and they just get so fired up.
Yes. So that's very true. And we write a series on the blue-eyed energy that's coming out of the screens themselves. You know, you felt it working on the computer too much
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. The other thing that I had was, I like a year and a half ago, I went back to a conference, Funnel Hacking Live, and 5,000 people with cell phones and all this flashing lights, and they had even paid extra money so that they could boost up the Wi-Fi signal so everybody could be on the internet easier. I ended up having back pain and leg pain, and one of my symptoms is some right kidney, back, and leg pain that shows up in addition to insomnia and irritability. But it took me, we were living out by the mountains, so I was back in my bare feet with my feet on the dirt for a week, and it cleared it up again. But
Right.
that's,
So another tool that we have, Ralph, is eating, we find for electrical magnetic fields, hemp products
yeah.
work, like hemp seed and hemp milk work. So I suggest that people have like a tablespoon of hemp, good organic hemp seeds, or drink a cup of hemp milk. And that sometimes takes out the radiation and the
Yeah, you told me that. I was using that too. Yeah, I gotta get back to that. What do you think of selenium? Like selenium or Brazil nuts?
Brazil nuts in the good form is really good. I think selenium has it depends on the company, and I don't have a good company or not on it, but it should work. But sometimes the processing of buying it in a bottle form.
Better Brazil nuts. Just get some Brazil nuts.
Good fresh Brazil nuts are very useful. Get back to nature on those things.
It does seem like there's a, as Jen and I have moved, now we're in a townhouse by this lake, and it's beautiful. And we know the people that grow all of our food. It's really cool. And there's part of me that thinks, man, do we just go back and live out on the land somewhere, or with all this stuff going on, or at least we know our farmers. But yeah, there's getting back to nature does sound good to me. Like when I know there was a thing happening yesterday, and Jen was saying, you know what, we're gonna just trust nature and God. How about that? What a revolutionary idea. And
yeah, again, so a lot of people that are using my vitamin therapies, and next week I'll have it for you, Ralph. I'm rewriting the white paper for the fall of 2021 with all the IMT suggestions and the herbs and the body work also to do.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that should be something that people can do as homework. They can do in the where they live type of thing, for those processes to help. The increase in the COVID is somewhat scary, but I think we can handle and help people get easier and better from it at the same time.
Yeah, and imtwellnesscenter.com, you can actually have a free consult with Tom, and he's got some amazing supplements. He, if you want to, it'd be cool to hear just a bit of your origin story, like how you came to be the guy that researches and goes to farms in different places around the world, and then has worked with all these different supplement companies to get a very specific way of doing supplements. You've got something for the immune system and the GI system and other systems. Yeah, tell us about how you got to do what you do.
It's I consider myself a functional medicine doctor, and that's a group that's has maybe about 30,000 doctors and naturopaths and chiropractors in the area. Give me 1 second, Ralph.
Okay.
Somebody just came in and my secretary's not there. I will be
No
back
worries,
with the
yeah,
story.
I'll just keep everybody up to speed. So yeah, so Tom is one of those guys. I don't think I've ever met anybody like Tom. He's the late Sharon G. Mateo, his wife, was another one. And I don't know, it's as if there's like 12 copies of them reading research and then and studying different forms of medicine and healing and then putting it all together into a system. And that's Tom. And what I use, one thing that's wonderful for Tom is like when Ben fell and really hurt his arm, the first thing I told Jen when we got home was call Tom. And so you know, there's different ways to look at healing and health, and you can have an acupuncturist, you can have a naturopath, you can have a chiropractor, different people. Tom's got all of that, and so he's somebody I've learned from since February of 2000, and someone just to have in your I guess Rolodex is the old version world, but in your contacts, and just know that if something happened, if something's going on, if something's up with your family, with your health, that is worth a call. And it's imtwellnesscenter.com. Reach out to me and I can hook you up, you know, find me on the internet, Ralph Havens. And we've kind of gone down the road of helping people clear anxiety and fear and all the inner stuff related to being an entrepreneur, an online entrepreneur. Thing is, I got my start in healing 36 years ago, and so I come from a world of healing and not coaching. What we found, Tom and I, is that whatever you're going through, whatever it is, the anxieties, the fears, the depressions, the health challenges, the big time health challenges, your body's doing the best it can do. And it's not your fault that you're dealing with chronic illnesses or chronic anxiety or the way of the state of the world. The thing is, what we found is your body is protecting you from something. You know, if you're dealing with something, it's kind of like if you have a cut and it's not healing, there's a reason. Maybe it's infected and you have to get it cleaned out. Maybe it's got a raging, raging infection. You got to clear out the infection first. Or maybe you've got diabetes or blood sugar issues, or maybe there's just nutrition issues in general, or you're dehydrated. There's a reason it wouldn't be healing. When you take away the reason, the body naturally heals. And our approach, Tom and my approach, we've gone down slightly different roads, but we work with the same principles, is that there's a reason whatever you're dealing with is going on. There's an actual reason. And instead of having to like hack anxiety, there's, you know, marijuana is at an all-time high right now. And I know there's a lot of benefits to CBD and all that stuff, and it's saving some lives for sure. The thing is, that's kind of like a Band-Aid. It's like just take away the symptom, you know, and it's a better take away the symptom thing than some medications that have really severe side effects. But those approaches are like just trying to cover up a symptom. And what Tom has is a way to find out why is the body doing that. So
So hi, I heard you gave a little bit of a history of me.
yeah, I'm doing my best.
Thanks. So I started off in physical therapy, then I went to chiropractic school and acupuncture school, and went to study with this gentleman, Jeffrey Bland, who really was doing functional medicine using herbs and plants to help reverse things. And then with my wife, Sharon, we would take the herb and say, oh my God, this really works good for the heart. And oh my God, this works good for the liver. So we were actually taking it and feeling into the tissues of the body.
Like you had your hands on the body and then you would touch them and feel what it did to their body.
Right. So most people have theories like, oh, this is good for your liver. But we would actually say, no, this one worked and this one didn't. So we really are able to pulse test every single herb that we have and see the benefit of it. So, you know, there's lots of fish oils out there. So it took us 20 years to figure out what fish oil. And I test every time a new client brings in a new fish oil, I still see if mine's better than theirs. So I'm always looking for the best. And all my students like yourself will say, this is great, it does this. And we have like 100 people farming the whole world for the best products ever. So
literally, I mean, you've been to I think, is it Taiwan where the green tea comes from?
Yeah, and our green tea is only 5 farmers in Taiwan Bamboo Mountains. We found them as being one of the best places, and they're winning awards from China and Taiwan that they're one of the best farms in the world, type of
I
thing.
want to take my get a fluoride meter and test it to see. I have a feeling there's no fluoride in it, which would be great because then we can make our kombucha again.
So that would be good. So we chase it for heavy metals, we chase it for pesticides, and
Yeah.
it's just super there. And our immune formula was designed back in 1999 to help SARS and bird flu and AIDS. And so COVID is a variant of bird flu and SARS. So it's been outstanding to help people get their immune system up. So I'm not saying that COVID didn't enter them. It's saying the body doesn't have to express the disease portion of it. So,
Yeah. Like there's bugs everywhere, and some people don't catch the cold. So it's kind of like that. Like, you can be strong through these things, or if you do catch it, you can kind of just get over it. So it's all about working on, we call it the host, like working on the person to get them healthy instead of working against some disease to fight some disease thing.
Yeah. So that goes along with the science of helping people get better. And someday, with your help, we'll put out Immune Regen and GI Regen in a bigger advertisement, so more people get to know it. And use it.
And I do have the plan for that. I've just gotta just get it in place. There's a guy that was in San Diego. He was an athletic trainer, Paul Check. I can just say it. He's a cool dude, and he used to come to this manual therapy meeting that we all had, and it was back in the day when the physical therapists thought they were better than the athletic trainers and all that kind of days. But he started down the road of the online entrepreneur thing many years ago, and I just happened to open an email up from the Bulletproof guy, the Bulletproof Coffee guy. I think his name's Osprey or something, and there was a supplement, a magnesium supplement. And I thought, well, I'm going to see how they're selling this because it looks kind of cool, the Bulletproof guy. And they went through the exact way of getting, it's like an awesome, what's called a funnel. And they were talking about magnesium. And I got to find it again and send it to you and see what you think, because I think it's a way to get the message of your supplements out to the world. But it was, I scrolled down and it was Paul Check in there. He was selling this supplement on magnesium, and he had the whole reasons. And that was one thing I wanted to talk to you at some point about was, he had like 6 different versions of magnesium and why they're all different and why they're all good. And then he had them in one thing. And so, and magnesium can be good for well-being and calming and making people feel better. But I thought, wow, I think this is the way to get your supplements out to the world in one way. It's like, you got some supplements that are just good for everybody. And they can't hurt anybody, not really. And so and magnesium is one cool thing. So yeah, I'll get that to you. It's like it's on my lists of things, and I know the people that can do it actually put it together really fast. So we'll get them. It's like I'm going 100 miles an hour, and I was supposed to be on a call with those guys, and it was at a time that I'm not used to waking up and being online at. And I missed the call. They were like, Ralph, we're waiting for you. I'm like, oh. So I'm kind of like going 1,000,000 miles an hour. How did you and Sharon, you guys did so much stuff. You had, I don't know, like 14 clinics around the world and traveling around and developing material. And you always seem so chill. What the heck, man? How did you do that?
Well, the philosophy is you should enjoy your life. And make everything not a piece of work. It's something that you enjoy, and then the rewards should come to you that way.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing overall for sure. One of my coaches, Katie McIntyre, had a whole mindset hack thing of make sure you're sleeping, make sure you're eating, make sure you're exercising, make sure you have some spiritual time, make sure you're with your family, all these things. And I'm like, make sure you're doing the work you love. It's like, well, I've got them all in order. So like, yeah, you guys were just like floating around, because you would like land from Hong Kong and Connecticut and then just go straight to work, and you'd have to get your latte. But
nothing. It's all just, okay, what's next? No rush. Nothing. Nobody's. When you need priorities, you step it up, and when you don't, you just step it down and keep going forward.
And then when Ralph calls you panic because his little boy, he didn't catch him and he fell, you just tell him to breathe and give me some things. Oh man, it's a wild world. It's a wild world. I mean, it seems like we're being something's coming. You know, the yin and the yang. Like there's a lot that seems really nefarious, evil. It's not right, and then there's a lot of good happening, and
Everybody's waking up.
everybody's waking up.
So, you know, we're a month away from the fall equinox. We'll see how that works out for people. And then we'll see how that wakes up other people after that piece. So.
Yeah, you know, it seems like, does the universe or God or whatever just can somebody be off track and doing things not aligned, like and then get a bunch of wake-up calls, and then it's like some don't follow through and some do have a big shift. I'm thinking of years ago. I have friends. I haven't talked to them in many years, but we were all sitting around drinking wine and in San Diego, and one of them was reading a whistleblower book from that company J&J. They make one of the shots, and but it was like I think it was around, it might have been before even they got found out that they were knowingly putting asbestos in their baby powder, and then they got sued and lost billions of dollars over that. But he was reading a whistleblower book, and he worked in that company, and he told us, he says, you know, I think it was either 25% or 30% of the research they did that they do was completely fraudulent. Like literally, they just made up the numbers. This was him.
Yeah.
Talking. And it's like, that seems crazy. I'm not accusing them. It's like, this is what my friend told me. And one of our other friends had her parents were still alive, and they were dealing with Alzheimer's, and they were on these multiple drugs, and she was a nurse. And she was telling him, you know, this drug, Richard. And he looked down and he said, those drugs don't work. And I thought, you know, I asked him, I'm like, hey man, how, I didn't say like, why do you work there? Although I kind of thought that, but I'm like, how can they do that? You know, why are they doing stuff that they know is not true? And then, you know, with the asbestos, putting it in, and my other friend looked at me, actually the boyfriend of the woman that had the family members that were on drugs that didn't work for Alzheimer's. And he looked at me and he said, Ralph, you're so naive of how the world works. And that's when I right around then I told Jen, I've got to get away from people. And that's when we moved out of San Diego, and I'm like, I'm done with this. This is like that. It blows my mind that people would knowingly work. I know they're making a couple $100,000 a year, the scientists in those companies, and but it blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's just strange, right? I don't have a question. I'm just like blown away though.
At least you're waking up to it, Ralph.
Well, I was waking up back then. It drove me out to Mount Baker and thought I was going to be a homesteader. But then I realized I want to come back and do this in the, you know, I was kind of led like, no, you're not doing that. You're going to be back in the world. And I was like, I really want to be back in the world. I'm not a farmer. I'm glad I know the farmers, but yeah, it's like later that that guy, the scientist, had a real scare with death. And I was wondering, you know, what happened, but he made it through. But I just wonder, you know, I know when I was dating the wrong woman, I sprained my ankle real hard, and I instantly do not, you know, break up now. And it's like we get these calls, but we don't have to answer the calls. It's kind of a funny situation. I don't know what you think about all that stuff.
Well, the 2x4 gets bigger and bigger if it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
feels like the anxiety is down a little bit, and everybody that's talking with us, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah. I think just to know that Tom and I go through our own stuff, and our world is the healing world, and so I think healing does come from God, but there's a way to kind of find out why somebody's not healing and help shift that so they can get on with healing. So reach out to Tom, imtwellnesscenter.com. He's got some new stuff coming out that's organizing it in a way that's more useful for us. And I'm gonna, what's the best way for them to get like your green tea and your supplements? Like, do they need to talk to you first, or do they need to, what do they do?
Yeah, right now it's still, you can go on the website and there's a little product list that has the green tea. The supplements, I still want to talk to them and meet them and see what they need.
That's
that
worth the
piece
call,
of-
man. 15 minutes with Tom is worth its weight in gold. And then and get set up on what some stuff. There's some people that you just send away for a month with the supplements and they have a big shift before their second session.
Absolutely.
So yeah, imtwellnesscenter.com. Okay, Tom, so good to see you, man. We'll keep cruising.
Okay, Ralph. Talk to you later.
Everybody. All right.
Bye.
Bye.